I think it's time for a short rant on the positive side of being INTJs. I've seen a lot of videos, even made some that focused on the downside, the part of being an INTJ that people struggle with because we're different. But being different isn't necessarily a bad thing. Gold is different than iron. I mean, things being different doesn't make one necessarily inferior to the other. Iron is great for building things. It's sturdy and strong. Gold is a high conductor of electricity and has value. There's differences in everything. Being different is just part of being human. So that part is okay. Being different than other people, that's not a drawback. It's not necessarily even a weakness. In fact, this is what I want to cover in this video, is the upside of being an INTJ. The fact is, we put a man on the moon, or men on the moon, primarily because of the work of Sir Isaac Newton, who gave us all of the theory behind gravitation, enough to get us onto the moon. Now, another INTJ is going to take us all the way to Mars. Elon Musk has already got the plans in the works to create a Martian colony. Think about that. I mean, these are two INTJs that have pushed us forward dramatically. These are good things. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, admittedly, these are the far-end INTJs, especially extremely talented INTJs, but we all have our talents. And I'm telling you, this is our time. We are moving into an age where being an INTJ is going to be a huge plus. Let me explain something to you. When I was in high school, there was no such thing as personal computers. There was no such thing as electronic calculators. What I had to use in my physics class was a slide rule. You know, you would take a slide rule and you'd pick one number that you want to multiply by. This is a simple demonstration, but this is the number 2. And you want to multiply 2 times 2, you come over here and find 2 on the slot, the scale right above it, and right below that you find the answer is 4. This is the way you did multiplication using a slide rule. You could also find logarithms and do square roots and cube roots and many other things with the slide rule. However, one of the drawbacks of the slide rule, aside from being slow, is that it normally would only give you 2 points of precision to the right of the decimal place. Well, a lot of times that's not enough. So let's say you looked up a logarithm on your slide rule and it gives you 2 decimal places. Well, what you need is, say, 4 or 5 decimal places. Well, then you go to your book and you have a book, a table of logarithms, and you find the 2 closest logarithms to what you're looking for, and then you, with pencil and paper, you calculate or extrapolate the difference between those 2 numbers to come up with a number that has more decimal places than what your slide rule gave you. This was the state of technology when I was in school, in high school. Today, the average student just punches the numbers into his calculator, gets out 8 or 12 decimal places of precision, and doesn't even think about what's going on here. That's today. And today is going to be the dark ages compared to tomorrow. We are going through an advancement, a rate of a change that is unbelievable. We have computers that are doubling in power every 2.5 years, and it just keeps doing that. Well, at some point, I mean, this is going to blow the top off. We're coming up on the age of artificial intelligence, serious artificial intelligence, that's going to rival man, and someday it's going to pass him up. Right now, being an INTJ, well, if you look at the field of computer programming, you'll find it saturated with INTJs. We love that. We thrive in those areas. All the STEM research areas. that's our home, that's our heaven, and that's the future. Being an INTJ is wonderful today. We should be celebrating being who we are instead of worrying about not being someone else. We shouldn't have to worry about being extroverted, socializing in parties, or any of the other things that seems to be dragging so many people down today who are INTJs. They worry because they don't fit in. Well, yeah, they don't fit in because in some ways the areas that are going to be the future, they're better. That doesn't mean we're superior people, but it does mean that our particular bent on mental processes is superior. It is what's coming to the future. That's what we need for the future, and the door is wide open to INTJs. And we need to celebrate that, focus on that, and embrace it. And we need to reach for the future because, well, that's also where another PowerPoint of us, we have a introverted intuition that points to the future. We're always looking to the future. How can the future be better? What can we do to change things to make it better for the future? It's a constant thing going on in our heads. And here we are with technology coming online that's going to allow us to shape the future to something wonderful. This is our day. We need to take it with both hands and embrace it. We need to enjoy the position we are in. We're lucky. In the Dark Ages, they'd burn us at the stake because we wanted to think for ourselves, and they didn't like people thinking for themselves. You're a heretic if you thought for yourself. You did what they told you to think. That's what you thought, or else you suffered the consequences. Today, you're rewarded for thinking for yourself. You have technology that's waiting for you to think for yourself and create things. A piece of software that you write actually creates something that never existed before, and it came from your head. You did it. That's wonderful. There's so many areas like that. There's medical areas where we're going to take the genome, thanks to computers and the advancements that have been made, has now been mapped out, and there is a whole world of things to study there, to learn, to project, to pull together in patterns that we do so well. And we're going to create things like growing artificial limbs that are not going to be artificial. They're going to be real limbs. We're going to replace bad organs because we're going to know how to trigger that growth inside of human bodies. We're going to cure cancer. We're going to cure all sorts of maladies. We're going to be able to take somebody who has a genetic defect and correct that so that defect doesn't present itself in some horrible way. There are so many things that we're going to be able to do in the future. It's a wide open world out there, and the INTJ is right in line to take advantage of it. I just want you to celebrate that. I want you to take that and run with it and enjoy the fact that you are who you are, and don't worry about the fact you're not somebody else. You don't want to be somebody else. Today, you want to be an INTJ. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.